Joker 2 is a terrible movie, is apparently what everybody's saying about this. I watched it yesterday and actually thought it was really good for the most part. Spoiler warning, because I can't talk about what I like about this movie without spoiling it. But to first talk about what I don't like about the movie, I don't like the pacing in certain areas of the movie, and I think the pacing comes down to the musicals. I think the musicals, ruin the pacing, and I think a lot of the musicals in the movie, or, the musical segments, I really think they're just, shallow. There's nothing to really deconstruct about them. It's kind of just on the nose telling you what the character's feeling in that moment. I didn't think any of the musical songs were very good either. Granted, I thought the OST score was good for the movie, just not the musical songs. And that's my biggest problem with the movie, and that's why I don't give it a 10. But I am sitting at an 8 out of 10. Maybe it goes down to a 7 if I rewatch it. I'm still kind of conflicted on the movie. But what I did like about the movie was the world building again, and Arthur's character. He starts off the movie really depressed, and you can kind of tell because people are trying to tell him, oh, there's a separate personality, there's two personalities inside you, kind of like the first movie where everybody's trying to tell him something that's not true. And when he meets Harley, he starts to actually delude himself into thinking it is true. He starts to take in the Joker persona, and as he's given his big speeches and stuff, all of the people that are kind of like Arthur in the sense that they're kind of mentally ill or they've gone through some fucked up shit in their life, they look at him as a beacon of hope or something to look up to and something to be inspired by. In a fucked up way, they feel like he's validating them. But throughout the course of the movie, Arthur's actions get people killed because they're following him, and you start to see a side of Arthur that's more empathetic, and he's actually starting to come back to reality, and he starts to regret getting these people killed because they're following him. And then by the end of the movie, he admits and accepts that there is no other personality. He did those things because he was angry because of what he went through. That doesn't make it right, and he kind of takes accountability and has some self-awareness by the end of the movie. And a lot of people are saying the ending to this movie is bad. I don't know why. I think people just may have not gotten the point. When Arthur gets stabbed and the guy says, you get what you deserve, I very much read it as Arthur, when he was putting on the show and being an inspiration to all these people, again, they looked at him as someone who was validating them in a sense. So when he owned up and had some self-awareness and admitted yeah, I did these things, there's no other thing, I did it. It invalidates those people. That's why you see people like Harley leaving him because, quote, the fantasy was over, and why he got stabbed at the end of the movie. And after the dude stabs him, he cuts a smile into his face, which I think is kind of showing that anybody could end up like Arthur. Anybody could be the Joker, quote unquote. Which I kind of like because in multiple adaptations of Joker that I like, he tries to prove the point to Batman that they are alike and anybody can end up like that. So I really like that element of the movie. I get why people may not like certain parts of the movie, especially the musical stuff. But if you think this movie has bad writing for Arthur's character or the world building, I'd love to hear an argument as to why. Remember, you can come on to one of my Disagreement Day streams, which we try to do every week or so, if you want to voice criticisms of the movie.